If I can bring this to order, I'd like a big good morning back. No, that's not good enough. I'm an old man, my hearing is going, I don't pay for this colour. On a big good morning. Thank you very much, and a good morning to you too. First time I've been on stage this week, apart from the AGM and the usual stuff, so it's a real great pleasure. I'm loving this. This is a great conference so far. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you all for coming from the bottom of my heart. Really, really good to see so many old friends and faces and catch up and so on. So, opening remarks, I will keep this short and sweet because there's a few bits and pieces after this. Session surveys. When you go to sessions, please fill in the surveys. They're really valuable to us. You know, we want to constantly improve this. We want to understand whether what we're delivering is what you want us to deliver, whether it's the right thing and it's in the right way, and how we can improve the way we deliver it. So AV and mics and all sorts of things. Please fill them in. Please rate those surveys and please give us as much detail as you can. 2024, it's just another year away. We will be in Fukuoka in Japan. There is a program committee with Taki. Where's Taki? Is Taki here? Taki here, stand up, shout, do something. This man here is the program chair for Fukuoka. There will be a program committee lunch and learn. So if you've applied for it and if you're on the program committee, I think it is Dies on the 3rd floor. Am I pronouncing that right? Any Canadians here tell me? Dies, D-I-E-S-E, who knows? Grab your lunch here, because it's a lunch and learn, so there won't be food up there. Grab a plate, fill it up, take it up to the 3rd floor, and Taki will be running that meeting. Tonight is the social event, the best piece of this conference in many people's view. It's on this floor, it's around the whole floor, 7 o'clock tonight, dinner, drinks, and entertainment. Please, come along, enjoy it, mingle, make friends, talk to people, network, collaborate, all the good things. If you have a guest registered for this, you need to pick up their badge from the registration today, ideally at the next break, I think. So if you're bringing someone with you, make sure you've got their badge, because sort of no badge, no entry. People leaving at the end of the week on Friday, if you're checking out Friday morning, the hotel will be keeping a room on this floor where you can leave your luggage if your flight's in the evening or overnight, so to speak. You know, there'll be staff here looking after it. You can get a ticket for your luggage and so on. So if you need that, make sure you bring it up here. You don't leave it at the front desk, they will be deluged. So that's all the housekeeping pieces. Now I want to talk about a conference that you may have already got a flyer for. You may have, Klaus Peter has been assiduously distributing these. So, conference, OCSC, and here we go. Here we go. I didn't write these slides. Clicker. Right, well, I need to click. A very secret special conference that I'm now going to tell you about in a strict secret TLP super red. Here we go. So we go there. Do I need to keep clicking? Nope, it's doing it all on its own. So this is being called the OCSC conference. There we are, now I can see it. Clicks again. Clicks again. Clicks again. You'll pay for this, Klaus Peter. Right, so the conference is the OCSC, it's the Open Cyber Security Conference. This is being run in Europe because it's to celebrate 30 years of information sharing, collaboration, security, incident response in Europe. So we adjudged that kicked off in 1993. Klaus Peter at some point harassed the man over there in the corner. He can tell you all about this. And we're trying to bring together, it's a one-off, special, unique event to bring together a lot of people in one place to celebrate this and to look at how we can move this forward rather than back. You know, we're not looking at what we did. How can we improve the world and make this place a safer place? So very, very attuned with what we do, but 5 days, training and, things, very sort of similar to the first conference, a lot of training, a lot of panels, a lot of keynotes, big party to celebrate the 30 years and so on. And the content, so again, it's to existing, build new content, build new relationships. There'll be training. You can read this as well as I can. We'll be putting together a program committee to do this in early autumn, and the plan is this will be done for the end of February next year. Those are the dates. So right now, if you're even vaguely interested, save the dates. 26th February, 1st of March. It's in Tenerife. This is the building it will be in, which is a truly amazing building. And we want to make sure that we do this right. It's a partnership between ourselves first, with the OCF, the Open CCERT Foundation, which many of you will be aware have sort of taken over the TF-CCERT piece. So this is sort of the European grouping of TF-CCERTs, OCF, and FIRST doing this together. Any contacts, there are the email addresses. You can obviously also harass us because we're fully involved in all this. So that's that. I will now pass the flag, the handle, or whatever, over to David from the Capture the Flag gang, who will tell you who's doing what, where, and when. There it is. Can we ping over to this feed?
Ah, okay, they have it. Perfect. So, even better. No need to plug it. So I will do a quick update on where we stand with the CTF in the middle of the conference. So, sorry. So we have 10 teams, no, more than 10 teams. So the top 10 teams, as you can see, are heavily competing. And it's also interesting how close they are to each other. So there are no clear winner at this stage. They were quite fast to reach a 2,000 point required to get the coin. And most interestingly, the first team, they even managed to get all the flag, which we thought would be impossible on day one. So that's really, really impressive. And the second team was really, really close to them with only point less. If you look at, in terms of scoring, we had yesterday something like 8,000, 9,000 points available, maybe a bit less. And you can see how close and how high the top 10 teams are. So we found that quite interesting, and definitely congratulations to them. If we look now per user, so each team is up to 4 users. We also look at how many points certain person do manage to send themselves. And then again, we do have some people doing an incredible job. So again, take the first team, 7,000 points. We have a user that managed to submit 4,000 points by himself. Now, some statistics to give a bit where we stand. So we had 60 flags available yesterday, with a maximum of 7,000 points, 7,500 points. So you can see first team very, very close to the maximum if they didn't get it. I would check. We yesterday had 21 teams above 2,000 points. So if you remember, 2,000 points is what we said as a threshold to get the coin. Out of a total of 67 teams currently playing. And actively playing, and a total of 137 users that at least score 1 point, meaning they at least somehow get a flag. And today we just released 20 new flags for a total, again, 3,600 points that they can get. And tomorrow we'll release the last batch of flags. And that is it for me as of today. And let's see you on Friday with the final score and the announcement of the winner.
Right, now I'd like to hand over to Yuka and a couple of colleagues who are going to talk about the Hall of Fame for this year.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Yuka Uchida, and I'm one of the board members at FIRST. And I would like to spend the next 15 minutes or so to share with you about the Incident Response Hall of Fame, which is the recognition program that we do at FIRST. So the Incident Response Hall of Fame was first inaugurated at the 2019 annual conference in Edinburgh, and since then, 5 persons have been inducted to the Hall of Fame. This program was initiated to virtually celebrate contributions specifically to the incident response community. And as many of you are aware, the large part of the FIRST activities, including SIGs, trainings and standards, etc., has been supported by a countless amount of voluntary work by our members and supporters. The Incident Response Hall of Fame is a place to recognize the work and especially the long-term contributions to our community by those volunteer work and supporters. And I believe this is an important work for FIRST as a community to show respect and appreciation to the work by such dedicated individuals. For this year, the Hall of Fame committee has made a decision to induct Mr. Andrew Cormack, who is unfortunately not with us today. And many of the frequent attendees of this conference may have some good and nice memories with him during the past conferences of FIRST. And I would like to share with you about his great achievements in his career and also how he helped develop the incident response community and FIRST. Here today with two colleagues, I would like to welcome Serge Dross, who's also a board member, and also Don Stickbolt, who is a 2020 Hall of Fame inductee. They were both close to Andrew for many years and have worked together in many aspects through FIRST and also other initiatives as well. So I'd like to welcome Serge and Don to the stage and to share their stories with Andrew. So please.
Thank you, Yuka. Can we get Andrew's picture? Okay, good. So, yes, Andrew indeed cannot be with us today because Andrew just died a few days short of his 60th birthday. And so Don and I will give you kind of a little glimpse into Andrew's life and how we perceived him as a friend. And judging from all the mails and messages on the FIRST mailing list, I think Andrew was a friend to many of us. But probably few people know is the many sides and facets of what Andrew did. Andrew was not just the first member. He did many things. Andrew, by training, was a mathematician, but he was kind of never really the person to sit on an office chair. So his first assignment actually was on a research vessel where he sailed the world for 5 years. And if you went out with him for a drink, he would share a lot of anecdotes about this. For example, what dedication to the job means by sleeping beside a computer that was bolted to your night table and on a vessel on the high seas. After 5 years, he returned to Cardiff, University of Cardiff, where he became the postmaster and was tasked with investigating what this new thing called a web server is and if it is useful for the university, which kind of sounds to me really fun. And especially because I hear Andrew's voice saying this. And obviously, the internet wasn't safe at the time, and so it wasn't too surprising that a couple of years later he started working as the head of the CERT at JISC, what today is JANET, the UK National Research and Education Network. But he was also the first head of a spectacularly failed project called EuroCERT, where people thought we're going to have a CERT for Europe. That didn't work out, and I guess we now know why. But Andrew was wanting to try these things. And again, this is something I think that's very special and very particular about Andrew. He would try out things. He would try how they work and then make sure they gracefully failed. A lot of people on the mailing list shared that what they found really special about Andrew was that he could listen and he could absorb what people said and then kind of come up with a solution. And he really put this to practice with transits. I think you're going to talk a little more about transit, so I'm going to leave this out. But part of that work really brought Andrew into other areas too, in particular to kind of what became really his favorite topic, law, and how law applies to incident response. So Andrew pursued a Master's of Law at the university and became a real lawyer. And you would think, why would anyone do this? And what would that help to us? And this is something, again, that ties back to the first conference in Seoul, 2016. A lot of us were very concerned with GDPR, which was on the horizon, because we thought, if we can no longer share information, this is going to make our jobs harder. And again, Andrew did what he did best. He was sitting down with us, he was listening, he was arguing with us. He took this back, and what came out of this was Recital 49, which is an exemption from GDPR, which allows the sharing of personal data if it's about security and protecting networks. Andrew was always very, very kind of modest about these things. He would never say he did this, but thanks to him, GDPR is actually not something that should stop our work. These are all professional achievements of of Andrew, but Andrew was much more. This is a picture I took a couple of years ago when I visited him in Wales, where he lived, and we took a hike along the seaside. And I think this picture stands very much for what Andrew was for me. It's somebody with a wide view. He looked over things. He liked to be in movement. We liked to walk. And I remember walking over the beach, taking our shoes off. This also was very much Andrew. Andrew enjoyed things. He indulged in things. He liked good food. He was not just a technical guy. And I think this mixture of someone who could listen and who could take all the information out and produce something really new made him really outstanding to this community. And all his contributions, and there's a lot more, which I'm not just going to read down, kind of had a really big impact on him. It's in January, somebody suggested, do you think it would be okay to induce Andrew into the Hall of Fame? And I said, I think you should make that submission. Things got very, very quickly, and we knew that Andrew wasn't in very good health. But luckily enough, Andrew learned about his induction essentially 2 weeks before he died. And it made him very, very happy. It also made Janet, his wife, very happy. Janet, many of you may have seen her. She still is a very quiet person, but she was often at these conferences. And we're in contact. Don and I are both in contact with her, and she's very excited about how this community participated in this tragic death, in this too early death. She was very excited to learn that there is a flag relating to Andrew's work, and it's a very genuine thing. And again, I think Janet and Andrew were a couple that were in many respects very unlike, but still they fit extremely well together. Derek brought a card, which is at the reception desk, that you can sign, which we're going to send to Janet, so please do so. I think Janet appreciated this community so much because she knew how much it meant to Andrew. And I could go on and on. Andrew had so many facets, but I'd like to hand over to Don to give his view and his picture on how he experienced his friendship to Don.
Thank you, Serge. Yes, a few additions after you've told such a very good story about Andrew, which I think a lot of people in here could recognize. So I actually met Andrew he came into the CSERT community around 1998, and that's when I met him. And he became one of my best friends. We did so many things together, like Serge, and lots of these were work-related. I will just mention a few, but there's so much more. So Andrew was the first head trainer of transits, which started around 2001, and is still there, the introductory CSERT training. I was one of the first trainers there. I think you as well, Serge. And several people, and I think some of them are actually here in this room. And so he led many of those transits trainings, and these were always such good events in regard content and in regard helping usually young people to get involved in this community, but also just because there was a really good atmosphere between the trainers and the students. Then another example is the CSERT Code of Practice, which is another version of ethics for CSERTs that we came up with in 2005, and that was Andrew and Mirek Mai, Andrew Parker, and myself. So, and that we actually brought that later to a later version, and then more of his legal insights were getting in because he did his degree in law, and that interest really helped us to refine that code of practice. Let's talk a little bit about some private things, because one of the things we shared a long time, the three of us actually, was climbing. I think it was the second highest mountain of Bulgaria, with a big team of people from the Bulgarian CSERT community. And I could tell a long story about that, which I don't do now, but it was a very special event. That Serge, Andrew, and I had a very great time there. So we did lots of that. I climbed Snowdon with him, and quite a lot of other mountains, and also in the Brecon Beacons, which is his home place in Wales. Though probably a lot of you know that Andrew was originally, and actually has always been, from Scotland, Scottish all his life. You wouldn't hear it by his accent, but he was. but he lived in Wales together with Janet, his wife. So there we also shared many great moments. We talked about literature a lot. We talked about classical music a lot because it was a passion of both Andrew and myself. And now I need to put off my glasses so I can read this. Ah, yes, a little history adding to what Serge said. And there are also some sadder notes there, but it belongs to the story. So actually in Valencia, January 2017, TFC cert, Andrew came to pick me up for a dinner, and I noticed that he was pretty exhausted. He was fighting his disease then already. He didn't even know it yet. Luckily, he recovered, and he still had many beautiful moments after that. And again, by the way, in Spain, 3 years later in Malaga, January 2020, just before Corona hit, we had walks again. And this was, you could see Africa from the Malaga hills. It was wonderful. And then, sadly, his disease hit again. It came back. Though he still was, for instance, the conference chair of the Edinburgh conference, also in 2019, I think. And in Bilbao, January 2023, Serge, I, and several of you met Andrew, and that was his last CSERT event. I was going to meet him somewhere in April, I think, but death sadly hit just a week before that. But he had already learned from the Hall of Fame induction and was indeed incredibly happy with that. And it wasn't just Andrew who was happy with that, and of course Janet, his wife, but I was a few weeks ago at his funeral in Wales, where I spoke a few words, and afterwards his parents, who were both still alive, came to me and said how much they valued the fact that we as a community have this attitude and that we share that and that we did that. So also for his parents, it was actually a great comfort that we celebrate him here today. So what I also said in church there at his funeral, I recited a few of the things that have been written, for instance, by many of you, you know, in emails and in social media. So many really beautiful memories that you have of Andrew. And what I said as a summary there, which lots of you said, was that one of the most outstanding qualities what he had was that he could listen very well to people. Whether they were young or old, experienced or unexperienced, really didn't matter. He had an open ear to everyone, and then he would think things through and discuss it in a very open manner. And I think many of you have those great memories of him. For myself, he was one of my best friends, and I will sorely miss him. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Don. Thank you, Serge. And this is all for the Hall of Fame session, and I'll hand over to Ted Normington, the program chair, for the keynote.